Hi, Mr. Farnsworth.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So I just want to say every time I'm in the room with you, I'm just so impressed with how your kids are doing and how well you're doing with them. So how do you feel like it's going?
I feel like it's good. I feel like we've come a long way since the beginning of the year. So I'm excited to see that growth and see how they're doing on their finals and things like that. So
Yes. Well, I just want to say, I mean, it's getting to the end of the year, and I just am so impressed always by your positivity and just the way the kids react to you. So
great. Thank
yes,
you.
you're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
You're welcome. So this is our pre-conference. So what's going to happen is we're going to talk about, what your lesson is about, and then I'll come in and I'll do the observation, and then we'll meet again after, and I'll answer any questions you may have. We'll go over some of the things that went well or some things that you still want to work on.
Great. Sounds good.
All right. So what standard in the lesson will you be focusing on?
So moving into central idea and key details, I noticed that that's a standard that we kind of want to re-hit. It's something that they're struggling with, especially in a test format. With those questions, it's kind of tricky for them to really pick out the specific details that are going to support that central idea. So that's what I want to focus on moving forward this week.
Absolutely. And that's the standard, like in the other grades that they have trouble with as
Right.
well. So
Right.
that's good. What have you done so far towards this standard?
So I've been doing a strategy called the 3-word circle. So whenever we're reading a text within the class, within independence, I've shown them a strategy called 3-word circle, where they read a paragraph, they think about, okay, what is the central idea of this paragraph, and then they circle 3 words or very short phrases to go back and say, okay, if I read those in solitary, I guess, then they would know, okay, that's what that whole paragraph's about. So if they go back, read those 3 words, I would know, okay, that's what their focus was in that paragraph.
Okay, I really like that. That's great. So you're looking at each paragraph separately. Now, when you use that 3-word circle, is that something you put together to describe the central idea of the whole passage eventually?
Correct, yes. So after we don't have to reread the whole passage. We can then read our 3 words in each paragraph and say, okay, what is the theme we're noticing throughout? Now that we focused in on each paragraph, is there a theme that we can see that is the central idea for the whole passage?
Nice, I like that. So what do you expect the students to be doing during your lesson?
I expect the students to be working in pairs. I'm strategically placing students with a higher level student and a more struggling student to kind of guide them along a little bit and just solidify that idea of central idea. So they're going to be reading the passage on their own with their partner, and then they're going to do the 3-word circle as they go, discussing, okay, what is the central idea here? What can we circle? And then after, they're going to determine the whole passage.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you're going to do this whole group then, and you'll just be supporting them as you monitor?
Whole group, yep, and then them in pairs, and I'll be monitoring the students as they go.
Okay.
Yep.
So you did say you'll basically put a struggling student with someone who can support them. So how will you ensure that the struggling student is actually understanding what the other student is telling them?
So as I'm going through and asking questions about the specifics of their 3-word circles, I'm going to direct the questions at both students, and as I monitor through, it's going to be throughout the whole lesson. So it's not just going to be I'm not going to hit one group one time, I'm going to hit them multiple times. So I'll be sure to direct to each kid so I can determine, and then I'll make note on my clipboard of who still needs some support in that central idea standard.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yep.
What you kind of just said the answer to this question a little bit, but what instructional strategies are you planning to use?
So I'm going to use monitoring. So as I'm going through, I'm going to have some sort of way to annotate, okay, this student's struggling, this student's got it. I'm going to also use the 3-word circle, and then the pairings, the strategic pairings, to make sure that the students who may be struggling may just need to hear it from a student, and they can explain it in different ways sometimes that the kid can kind of retain better. So I'll utilize that strategy as well.
I agree. Now, you did say you're going to check in with them and see who has it and who doesn't have it. Are you going to use that immediate feedback to let them know if they're on the right track, or to give them some scaffolding and supports, and what would that look like?
Absolutely. So what I tend to see is kids who aren't quite there or quite getting it are going to just circle 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to read those 3 words back to them, and I say, okay, are these 3 words telling me what this whole paragraph was about? And hopefully at that point then they can say, okay, no, let me make sure I choose more strategically or more intentionally. And if not, then I'll ask them questions. Okay, can we read it together real quick? Let's determine what the central idea is. Now you go back, just supporting them through it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I like that you're not just giving them the answer, that
Yeah.
you're giving them the supports. So if you have 2 students that are working together who are not agreeing on those 3 words, are they allowed to keep their own words, or do they have to have a consensus with the words they choose?
They can absolutely keep their own words as long as, like I said, we can read the 3 and it tells me the central idea.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that too. But sometimes they're not going to always agree,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And you kind of answered this as well, but providing feedback. So if they have the answer right, what does that look like?
So I'll make a little star on their paper as I go and
Mhm.
say, okay, I know that this paragraph's about that. They got the 3 words, and I don't have to have the conversation every time.
Right,
Yep.
right. That way you can get to the people who really need some extra support.
Absolutely.
That sounds great. So what would you like me to look for as I'm in there?
I would like you to look for ways of encouraging engagement for all students. I know we kind of discussed that and you asked that already, to how am I going to make sure that the struggling student isn't just kind of following along with their partner's doing. Just giving me some strategies or seeing if what I'm doing is benefiting those students who maybe are struggling.
Okay, so because I haven't seen this type of lesson for you before,
Mhm.
I don't want to throw anything out there right now as far as engagement strategies, because I feel like you have some great instructional strategies that you'll use. But so let me go ahead and observe first, and then I'll see what I feel like would work best if anything else is needed.
Okay,
All
sounds
right.
great. Thank
Thank you, and I will see you afterwards.
Okay.